Yeah, no, I can see. Okay. Oh, right. 19, I need to cut that. Okay, there we go. And alright. So it's like it's like the random bit of hair that's decided to out the side. Hi, hello, friends. Yes. Uh. So yeah, it's been an interesting couple of days. Yeah, like I I like the rainbows, right? But there's just there's a time that where that that ends up getting a bit much with all of the whatevers and stuff. Which like I'm glad that I know how to do the flower garland situation right now, because that's like each of the flowers is just what, like 3 dabs with a particular paintbrush and a low opacity, which is cool. And it served its purpose. But yeah. For the foreseeable future, I don't see that one coming back anytime soon. I just need to fully integrate everything into this layout and which side am I going for? And modify it so that the rest of the screens match it. But I figured busting out the butt kitty was gonna work for today. What is happening with the shirt? Is it me or is it the computer that's off? Because no, this side. There we go. Anyway. Yeah, basically, yeah. Alright. So, I have realized, right? I have realized that if I'm just reading a book to like read it and then do an analysis thing at the end of all that, and it's like a very short period of time, then I can just listen to the audio. But if I'm doing an analysis sort of thing, like this, where it's in parts, kind of need the physical copy. Especially because I've discovered that on top of putting tabs in there, one of the people that I follow did like a how I annotate things, and she goes through and uses the same color pen to underline things as she's got tabs, and I don't have a yellow pen, and I don't have a purple tab, so purple is yellow, so it corresponds to that, but I do have pens for the rest of them, so there you go. No, no. For the ones that for the ones that it's like a long-term thing. Yes, exactly. Colored pencils. And having said that, I see some colored pencils over there that I forgot about. But for the Botany Book Club ones, I should be alright as long as I have some kind of print format, like for Opium and Absinthe. We'll see how it works, but I have the Kindle version, and it was one of those that if you get the Kindle version for like $5, then you can get the audiobook addition to it for like $1. So that should work because you can highlight and stuff in Kindle. I'm just not all that familiar with how to do it, so we'll see on that. But for the rest of the buddy reads and stuff, I should be good with just the audio or just the whatever else and stuff like that. So, yeah. Also, being that I usually read either paperbacks or just like naked hardcovers, I'd forgotten how tricky it is to hold a hardcover with a dust jacket on it. So, like, I've just been, like, the dust jacket is chilling over here, but I've just been doing that. We can celebrate it on the 15th, but it's the 7th. So, right. Exactly. So there's that. Oh yeah, and okay. No worries. The just as a thing, right? The advance watch, there we go. Of the podcast episode should be up within like, I don't know, 20 minutes of stream ending today because it's on YouTube right now. I just need to write up the description and stuff. Let me know how the audio is. I'm thinking it's just my computer that I need to reformat something, but when I hear audio playback, depending on the source, it's like really crackly and glitchy sometimes. So as far as I know, it's fine because it doesn't excuse me. It does that a lot on YouTube when I'm watching something, but if I like replay whatever it is, then the crackles are in a different spot, so I think it's just my computer, but like, let me know. Anyway. Anyway. So. Yeah. No worries. Um. Hello, ice cream truck. Okay. What's up? Yeah. So. Yeah, that or it's the headphones. But I unplugged the headphones just to see because that would be a lot easier to fix on the computer itself. And was still getting like weird crackly, so I don't know. One of the trucks in the neighborhood plays. um yeah. Yeah, we only have one in our area. Yeah. We only have one ice cream truck that comes through here. And I'm pretty sure they just got like the stock audio set because it cycles through it cycles through Happy Birthday, La Cucaracha, uh sometimes Feliz Navidad is in there. And there's another one, but I can't remember what it is. Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I had everything update, but uh, I had everything update. I just haven't had a chance to restart the computer and let it do updates and stuff. So after I get everything situated for the podcast episode, I'm gonna set it to do like the updates and reset stuff with that when I'm going to get food and whatever, and we'll see how it is after that. Because I don't know, but we shall see on that one. Ooh. Okay. Alright. So, transitioning into the book part of this. And because I'm planning to upload it to the YouTubes, put an intro in there just cuz. So, greetings, guys, gals, and non binary pals, and welcome to part 1 of the Botany Book Club's discussion of Firekeeper's Daughter. So, the book. Just making sure, right? Because spoilers and stuff. How far did you guys get in the reading part of it? Book time! Yes. Through end of chapter 9. Okay. Got it. Because, yeah. Yeah, admittedly, like, because there's a twist at the end in 9, or like a cliffhanger and stuff, and I kind of know what happened simply because the end of chapter 9 and the start of chapter 10 are like the book spread, so it was right there, but yeah. Very good, very good. Round of applause. There's my water? Okay. I will say, right, after a lot of like nonfiction, it's kind of refreshing to have a fiction option such as this, even when there's like a lot of uh info happening in there. Also was a rather good call to read this one right after Braiding Sweetgrass, which, like, aside from talking about indigenous um, issues and things like that, didn't realize that there would be that many overlaps between the two. You know, just as a thing. Yeah, so. Um. Ah. Ow. Yeah, it. Like, honestly, uh, like, I've watched a couple of booktube videos on how people annotate the books and stuff, and it's like, blue is plot points, and there's this, that's this, and there's this, that's something else, and it's like, uh, Blue is cultural references. Same as it is in the nonfiction. Pink is kind of romancy and stuff, but it's like orange is mental health and like things that are probably going to give the characters some potential PTSD issues, and blue is is culture and stuff. Yeah, the other stuff, but yeah. Seriously. Okay. So, I don't know how many parts it's broken up into. Like, I've got used to having some kind of table of contents or glossary or something. Or glossary would be in the back. Table of contents. Yeah, I've got used to having a table of contents to deal with up front, but that's not in here, so I don't know how many chapters we're working with or how many like parts we're working with exactly. Wait, how many chapters are there? Just because 57. Okay, it looks like 57's the epilogue maybe. And there's an author's note. Yeah, 57's the epilogue. Also, do teens really drink and drug and sex that much? Uh, right? I know when I was in high school, like, I had a friend who at least said that they had screwdrivers every day at breakfast, and I know there was, like, some other stuff happening and whatever, so I don't know on that one. I just, of course, it's supposed to take place, when was it? 04? I think it's, I think it's set 04. Okay. Mm. And now I can't remember. Alright. Yeah. Here we go. The 0405 season. Yeah. Okay. So, they're going into if she's getting ready to go to first year of undergrad at Michigan State. No, not Michigan State. She's getting ready to go to the first year of undergrad. For 04, because Jamie is kind of sad that she's not going to be a senior when he's a senior, so she's a year-ish older than he is, so he's senior in high school and she would be freshman in university. So right now it's 2004. So yeah. Yeah, so she would be in a class a year ahead of when I was a senior. The whole ambassadors thing sounds like those clubs in anime based around hot classmate and hot classmate X and controlling all female interaction with them. Kind of, yeah. Yeah. That, admittedly, sports teams were never really a thing of interest. So I'm not entirely sure how those operate. The closest was like in university I was on the fencing team for a hot minute. And no. Fencing class was heavily dissuaded from joining the fencing team, but I was on the archery team for a bit. Yeah, that's what it was. But in high school, it was weight training, and like my sports seemed to just be like very kind of like you are on a team, but you're not really interacting with the other people on the team per se, you know? The whole let's have club based on yeah, the never quite got that, honestly. Yeah. The like groupie situation. I just I don't know. I don't know on that one. Um so there is that. But yeah. I don't know. So, on top of like the weirdness that is like, people gravitating together because what some dude's hot, like which I get that people do that and whatever, but yeah, no, you guys are fine. It's fine. Um, it's just, unless I'm, like, really ranting about something, there's certain words that it's hard to say sometimes. That tends to be one of them. It's all good. But, like, 2 seconds later, like, if we're gonna talk about, like, the commentary on racism that's happening in here, like, can America just stop being a complete ass about everything? Like, really? Oh my god. Like, come on, man. Ugh. Oh yeah. On the cultural thing, right? I just thought it was interesting. Okay, we're in chapter 1, page 25. And they want to set up very definitively that Jamie might not have as strong a connection to his indigenous Cherokee roots as he might like, as a lot of the other characters think that should have, yada yada. Partly because um, he's mixed race, partly because of how he grew up, any number of things. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like, if. Ah. We'll get to that in a sec. Like, it's Memorial Day, damn it. We're supposed to be, like, proud Americans and stuff, but, like. What is happening? Oh my god. But it's interesting. Because there's a section in here, right? That, what is it? What's your name? Oh my god. Okay, 1 second. When, like, yeah, yeah, that's one that's like, this Jen character, seems a bit sus. I don't know, like, the existence of Jen seems like, it's kind of. No worries. Welcome to the stream. The existence of Jen seems kind of on par with the, like, yes, I have a boyfriend. He lives in Canada. Like, or like he goes to another school or whatever. Like, what? Have a good sleep, Ash. Have a good sleep. God. What? Okay. Yeah, when when you're 9 chapters in and you can't remember the main character's name. What? Donis? Ah. It's literally like I'm on the page where she's telling someone how to pronounce her name, and I can't remember what her name is. What is happening? Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah. No, seriously. Like, it, hmm, hmm. Between how Jamie is responding to our main character and just like how generally suspicious everything is, I'm I'm thinking that Jen is a cover to like not have people bug him all the time. But I don't know on that one. Yeah. Also, have a good sleep, Ash. Talk to you later. Uh, but yeah, okay. So like, they're talking about grief, right at the start of it, and we know that, yeah, you listen to like a third of Angel Killer by Andrew Main before returning it. Can't remember the character's name. Yeah, like honestly, it's one of those things that I've gotten used to um the like how nonfiction works, where it's whoever the author is probably the main character, or uh in books where the character who's narrating a particular chapter is the title of the chapter. So you know whose POV it is. But like when it's not, hi, my name is this is my story, it's just like, wait, what? I I mean, I even tabbed it because it's like, yes, that's a useful bit of information that's just written in there so that the reader knows how to pronounce the character's name. Yes, I like that. That's cool. And now it's like, wait, what? What was the name? Oh, anyway, yeah, no, totally. Eh, totally get that. Oh god. So with the discussions of grief and stuff, it's brought up early enough, and there's mention of uh the funeral and Dennis um the MC for Firekeeper's daughter, like the Firekeeper's daughter right here, is Dennis. So yeah, that's who we're working with right here. It's oh god. But there's like the discussions about grief and processing and things are pretty cool in here. And just like when someone dies, everything about them becomes past tense, except for the grief. Grief stays in the present. Because it's regarding, yeah, exactly. It's regarding something or someone who is now past tense, but your experience of it is present tense, and your experience of it is an ongoing thing, so that's present, even though the rest of the associated, I don't want to say content, but like the rest of the associated experience and everything is past tense. Like the event itself is past tense. But yeah. But it was just interesting here, right? I don't know how much of this is a commentary on uh vaccination in general and how much is like the anti-vax situation and stuff. There's a section in here, right, where um they're explaining to Jamie why uh having an owl as the mascot for an immunization drive is a bad idea, especially in that community, because he can't quite figure out why having an owl on shirts with "Be wise, immunize" is a bad plan. Steve, what are you doing? All right. And to provide the reader with info, but like via explaining stuff to Jamie, which seems to be their preferred method of um passing along information, which works. I'm glad that it's not just like info dump all the time and whatever. Is in Ojibwe culture, the owl is a companion for crossing over when you die. Not exactly the ambassador you want telling niche parents to immunize their babies. Which, a valid point. A valid point. Seriously. Okay. Now, it's in the title bit, but just if you don't want spoilers for the book, like if you haven't read the book, at least up to chapter 9, I would advise clicking away. After the whole thing has been read, I will be doing a non-spoiler or not so spoilery solo video for Firekeeper's daughter. Just like for braiding sweetgrass and the spoke of the plant once I managed to finish this thing. For those two, it's not so much of an issue because it is nonfiction and it's a collection of essays and stuff. But yeah, just so you know. I was gonna say, considering Ash the crab, like, what? All the crab. Okay. considering all the crap white folks have pulled suspecting vaccines kind of makes sense. Yeah, in context of what is known about what has been done against indigenous peoples, would not be surprised. Was that... I heard about one that... Okay, what was it? I heard about one that had 220 bodies, I think. I don't know if it was a mass grave or if it was just a graveyard that was found, but I know that one was in connection with one of the residential schools. I don't remember what part of Canada it was, though. So if there's been another one, I'm not aware of that one. 215, yeah. Yeah. Which, incidentally, I found out about that via someone's vlog on BookTube, who happens to be in Canada. Because apparently she lives not too far from that site. But yeah, no, the idea that there has been points in history that there are still situations happening where it's so obvious that entire groups of people aren't being recognized as fellow human beings. Just... how? How it's 2021, right? How is this the reality that we're still existing in? You know? Like, how? Like, and it's interesting too, for Canada especially. Most people look at the US and go, ah, yes, you have a lot of issues. You have all kinds of issues with the gun violence and like the overt racism and everything. And compared to that, well, Canada's amazing. Nothing bad ever happens in Canada. It's like, y'all realize that there's like, you know, the same situations were happening in Canada than were happening in the US, right? It might have looked slightly different, sort of, but I think it's Toronto at least had, I don't know if they still have it, but they at least had a big part of the city's either Toronto or Ontario, I can't remember. But a big part of the city's like theater was blackface. And when this is YouTubeified, there's going to be a link in the description for a video. I think their name is Kajida Mbawe. Probably pronouncing that wrong. Apologies. But they did a deep dive on that. Yeah. And it's a full video going into racism in Canada, because most of their content is video essays about that kind of thing. And yeah, so we've got that, and we've got the forced relocation and sterilization of indigenous people, and the forced attendance at residential schools to try and remove the native culture from those that practice it. And seriously, like, I don't know. Accidentally minimize and glimpse standing holding what we think is an automatic. Double take it as I mean, depending on the mood of the raptor, the legs could be an automatic weapon, you know. And what was that? What? Yeah. It. I don't know. Guys. Actually, let me see if I can find this thing. Okay. If I can find it, if I can find it right now, then I'll pop a link in the chat, but it'll be linked on the Discord and the final video edits and things too. Like, seriously, just complete sidebar, right? Khadija, there we go. Wow. There we go. Boulley. Khadija and Boulley. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Okay. Now. No. Come on. Right. Yeah, it's gotta be Toronto. Because. I think. think it's this one. Okay. Okay. Pretty sure. Okay. Anyway, so I'm pretty sure it's. I'm still used to having the chat like right here. But anyway, I'm pretty sure it's that one there. Yeah. Anyway. So, basically, yeah. What was the. Oh, yeah, the residential schools and stuff. Which, incidentally, if you have not read Braiding Sweetgrass, uh, she talks a lot about the impacts of the residential schools on uh, generations of indigenous communities in there. So, something of interest with that. Getting back to Firekeeper's daughter, though, from I mean they're kind of building up to it, and it's funny, really, just not the book itself, just my own perceptions of things. Like, if someone asks, like, oh, what do you usually read? It tends to be like fantasy as my response, even though most of the stories that I consume are sci-fi, because Star Trek or sci-fi fantasy or whatever, completely disregarding the nonfiction and the uh, entirety of the mystery genre and stuff, because, I remember Star Trek because sci-fi, but then completely forget that I used to binge watch Murder She Wrote and Diagnosis Murder, like, on the daily. So, I don't know. I don't know. But, yeah. It, on that, uh, I will say that reading through the first couple of chapters. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I will say, reading through the first couple of chapters of this, I'm kind of rediscovering the not so latent interest in mystery sort of genre things. So there's that. But in chapter 3 especially, we start seeing the groundwork laid for some of the future events that might be taking place. I will say, just as a thing, I get why sometimes books, especially for like YA and children's books and whatever, there's like some kind of major plot point that is like the first page. Because it kind of behaves the same as a trailer would for a film or a TV series. But it does kind of well, actually, yeah, okay. It's kind of annoying, but also because there's no like trigger warnings or anything in here in the book itself, having the initial page talk about someone operating a firearm can kind of key the reader in that is a future plot point. So if that particular situation would be a negative to your reading experience, I can see that being a benefit in there. So there's that. Sci-fi reg, Alistair Reynolds, specifically Chasm City. Okay. Alright. Good to know. Yeah. Yeah. Come on. Yeah, seriously. When you're describing someone operating a firearm as like slashing like they're using a machete, even without any other context, it speaks to the action and it speaks to the mental state of the person with the weapon and how volatile and how unpredictable their future responses to stimulus might be. So, like, on the one hand, it's kind of annoying, sort of. Yeah, totally. Totally tripping balls. I remember when I was younger, I purposely just skipped whatever that page was. As an adult, though, I can see the benefit of having that in there. So, yeah. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay, one sec. Uh, uh, yeah. And, oh, yeah. On the sci-fi thing, right? There's very effective writing. But on the sci-fi thing, there's one that I'm about halfway through right now that is really cool, but I know if I was listening to it on audio, it would not work at all for me because it's very much like uh how to say, the main character whose head that you're in is dealing with a lot of memory issues and is being gaslit from about every direction. So there's that. But the story itself is kind of on point. It's one of the arcs from March that I think I still have like a week and a half to read, called The Memory Project. But it's very cool. But it also deals with a lot of trauma and stuff, so we'll see how the other half of the book goes on that one. Anyway, back to this. So there's a little bit in chapters 1 and 2, but it really sets up that Travis is kind of unpredictable, doesn't really take no for an answer, and that, and yes, I do still have to like flip back and look at how to pronounce her name. And it establishes that Dennis is worried about a friend. Good to know. I will read Chasm City with my eyeballs. But the last line in 3, right? I'm worried that Lily may be in danger of more than a broken heart. So it's setting it up right in there. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, just making sure. You want to slap Travis, right? Just because there's Chasm City and there's Firekeeper in in the convo right now. But yeah, no, it. Seriously, the Lily and Travis saga should just. I would say it needs to end, but knowing what happens in chapter 9, like it needs to have ended before this. I'll say that. Yeah, no, totally. Like, don't usually advocate violence, but there's sometimes, right? You know, there's times. Like, there, I forget where it is, but at some point in here, they're talking about a blanket party in which whoever is yeah, exactly. Like whoever is mistreating I think it's just mistreating one of the ladies in the community. Um gets rolled up in a blanket and vengeance is exacted. hmm. Yeah. In that particular one, it would have to be uh Lily ending it, which from how little regard Travis seems to have for anything that she says or her autonomy and everything else. I don't know if that would actually work. Yeah, okay. Just some cultural things in here, right? So, uh, it's talking, where was it? Dennis, Dennis is talking about fairness and how fairness isn't really one of the 7 grandfathers, or no, her aunt, which aunt? Is that Teddy? Aunties. Aunties? I don't remember which aunt this is. Just aunties, okay. Uh, all the great friends and blanket parties aren't gonna help until you're no longer bamboozled, and Lily is still bamboozled. Yeah, totally. Yeah. She's still willing to give him the benefit of the doubt and go have a chat with him and stuff. And no. Dennis? I do? Okay. Dennis. Dennis. Yeah. There we go. Alright. By the end of this, I'll be able to pronounce her name correctly. So, uh, yeah. Alright. So, we've got a little bit of cultural data and stuff with the 7 grandfathers are teachings about living the Anishinaabe Minoban Minobi Mazdaswin. Our good way of life. Through love, humility, respect, honesty, bravery, wisdom, and truth. So, yeah. Okay. Actually, I'm just gonna leave a bookmark on the pronunciation page because I apparently need it. So there's that. Okay, yeah, I missed that the first round. So the Firekeepers are one of the oldest families on Sugar Island, one of the oldest indigenous families on Sugar Island, and the what? And the Fontaines are one of the oldest white families in the area. So, exactly. Only fools mess with aunties and little old ladies. Because, either with the cane or verbally, you will be torn to shreds. And, yeah. there's, like, alright. Just as a thing, right? If you live to a certain age, especially if people are depending on you, you get to a point that you just don't take shit from anybody anymore, you know? So there's that. Oh, yeah, okay. So, it was kind of touched on before, but in... Is this 4? Yeah. In 4, we start saying... Excuse me. We start seeing more discussions of how Dennis is dealing with being biracial. And, like, even with both sides of her family being very much local to that area, because they've been there for hundreds of years. Or at least, like, well over 100 years. But she says, yet even with such deep roots, I don't always feel like I belong. Each time my Fontaine grandparents or their friends have seen my Ojibwe side as a flaw or a burden to overcome, and the less frequent but more heartbreaking instances when my Firekeeper family sees me as a Fontaine first and one of them second. When they say things about the Zonganash and then a beat later remember that I'm in the room too, it's hard to explain what it's like being so connected to everyone and everything here, yet feeling that no one ever sees the whole me. And she's starting to kind of feel a connection between herself and Jamie, kind of on that, because A, he's half Cherokee, half presumably white, but that hasn't been addressed at present. And because he's moved around so much. So, yeah. Seems weird her mom or aunties can't attest to her father's identity post-mortem. Yeah, like, I don't know. On that one, if her mom had her when she was 16, by the time she was 2, her mom would have been 18. And her dad died when she was 7. So there'd be a good 5 years in there to deal with. But it also depends kind of on how the whole council situation works. It is weird that it's not. It is kind of weird that it's not able to be revised at any point. So I don't know on that one. You gotta recognize this as Firekeeper and part of the tribe. Yeah, exactly. Is Firekeeper written? 1 or 2 words in the print version. Okay. So, we've got Firekeeper's daughter as 2 words on the dust jacket, but on the cover itself, it's 1 word. So, yeah. But that being said, when I was updating the thing, it's one of those that whether or not it's 1 word or 2 depends on if it's a name or an adjective. But it looks like it's because that was her dad's family name. Because a little bit later, it's talking about one of her nieces? Cousins? Yeah. I just realized that Perry is a combination of Pearl and Mary. Oh, jeez. Okay. Because, like, they're talking about dreams in chapter 5, and what was it? Perry found herself inside a bank vault filled with fancy jewelry, she brags. I was the bad guy, Auntie Donis. I was really good at it. Like, Pearl, Mary, Firekeeper, Birch, Jewel Thief. I laugh. And what about you? So, yeah, there's that. Because all the times that they're talking about the Firekeepers, it's the oldest family name, or one of the oldest family names in the area. Which is interesting, right? Because the dedication for braiding sweetgrass is for all the keepers of the fire. So it's those who are protecting and keeping alive the traditions, and jumping off of that into this, having her not be allowed to have her dad's family name, even if she grew up with, yeah, even if she grew up with the rest of the kids and considers herself to be part of the community and knows at least some of the language and wants to be involved with it and everything. Because there's that limitation, she's not being allowed to keep and further that knowledge. Aside from in very particular situations, like teaching kids a few words and things like that. Seventh Fire Generation. I don't know. Uh, seventh Fire Generation sounds familiar, but I'm blanking right now. So, okay. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Chasing after scraps of tribal knowledge. Yeah. It is interesting though, right? In here. Um I don't know if it's just what the sugar maple groves are called or what, but braiding sweetgrass is the only other time that I've heard maples referred to as sugar bush. And I know it's the same region and stuff, so it could also be a regional thing. I don't know. But at one point, they're talking about the maple syrup made it last year's sugar bush, which was kind of cool. Oh yeah. Also, right. Just a thing here. My grandparents' foolproof security system was to hide the key on the hook at the back of the fancy cabinet, the alcohol equivalent of writing your password on a post-it and sticking it on your computer screen. When I tell you that both my parents and my grandma do the post-it thing. Come on, guys. Come on. Oh my god. Huh. Okay. It seems like specifically the making of maple sugar syrup, a sugar bush. Wonder where the bush part comes from. Yeah. Oh. Something to look into more on that one. Definitely. Alright. Alright. Now. Also, I found it interesting that, like, most of. Like, I realize that Jamie is the new kid in the environment, so he's kind of, especially from how the first couple of chapters have gone, he's probably going to be the lens that we, the reader, learn world building facts from, because people are telling him things because he's new to the environment and therefore doesn't know the rest of the context and whatever else is happening. But it is interesting what is included in there, because just as a thing, right? Alcohol and me have an interesting relationship, generally insofar as it's fascinating, but I don't usually consume it. So I've heard of grappa, but just that it exists. And I think I remember hearing something about it being a brandy or brandy-esque thing. But in here, it's, Dennis is telling Jamie that it's an Italian brandy, I think. Is it? No, it's Lily. Okay, never mind. Okay. So, she's telling. Yeah. What? No, it is. Yeah, it is Jamie. Wow. Alright. Yeah. Okay. Just telling Jamie that grappa is Italian brandy made from the residual bits of grape that are left over after they're pressed to make wine, which is kind of cool. I didn't know that that's what it was. Or that you could get that much out of it after you've pressed the grapes. But if you're using the pulp and whatever juice is left over in the pulp, that would stand to reason. It would also kind of stand to reason that it would be a bit more bitter, probably, because that's you've got the skins and everything in there, and that's generally where most of the tannins are. So, yeah. Okay. And then we've got, yeah, and another thing with the pronunciation is she's telling Jamie how to properly pronounce the area that he's now living in. So, it's, now don't be like tourists and pronounce it like salt. It's Sioux. So, it's welcome to Sault Ste. Marie. So, yeah. Yes. Astringent. Exactly. Oh yeah. And towards the end of chapter 5, we get kind of a glimpse at Dunnis's Uncle David and his mindset, because he left the area, presumably got an education, then came back and was one of the science teachers at the high school, which we then find out because he died, Jamie's uncle is now going to take over that role. But it goes from but it's talking about him being eager to flee and go someplace where people are more interested in being colorful than coloring within the lines. So she's not fitting into the society that she's in because she's kind of straddling the line of identity, and he doesn't seem to be fitting into the society because he's more colorful than some of his counterparts. Not entirely sure how to interpret that at this early stage in the story, but from what I glimpsed of chapter 10, we're probably going to get more character development and discussion about him as a character and what his experience was then and like in the next couple of chapters after that. How does one get the pronunciation suits from salt? Okay. Because it's okay. I don't know how well it's gonna pick up, but it's spelled SAULT. So if you're reading it, with an English eye, then just like just like basically anything else that has um, French origins. Yeah, probably pronounce it wrong. The same as like if you're trying to pronounce something like Anik or Samhain or whatever. If you've only, especially if you've only seen it in print, it might not go so well on that one. But yeah. Oh yeah, no. I did find it kind of hilarious though, because oh, what was it? Dennis was getting irritated at some of the teammates on the hockey teammates the previous year, because her brother kept wanting her to give everybody Indian nicknames and stuff, and this one guy kept pestering her because he wanted a name that was better than everyone else's. And she decided to go with something that she told him meant the biggest and most powerful bird, and it was basically just a translation for being a big dick. Yeah, exactly. With the pronunciations, like, you're right there with you. Totally thought it was Sam Hain for like a good decade. So, yeah. Oh. But yeah, no, that was funny. A big pileated woodpecker. Okay. Alright. Now. Okay. So, moving on to chapter 6. Oh, yeah. So, there's a bit more discussion of racial issues and culture and things. So we've got a discussion on the origins of the community, right? So Jamie's trying to figure out why actually, was it? Yeah, no, that's the later part. Never mind. So, Dennis is Yes. Yes. Okay. Uh, was that that was that was the first thing that I marked and forgot about. Wow. Okay. It's literally the first line in the book. Okay. So, tobacco. Backtracking a bit. Chapter 1, right? I start my day before sunrise, throwing on running clothes and laying a pinch of sema at the eastern base of a tree, where sunlight will touch the tobacco first. Prayers begin with offering sema and sharing my spirit name, clan, and where I'm from. I always add an extra name to make sure Creator knows who I am, a name that connects me to my father, because I began as a secret and then a scandal. So, first sentences right out of the gate, it describes how Dennis is connected to her indigenous roots, that it's down her dad's family line, and that even though she's connected to that side of the family, she still feels a disconnect from it, and general society sees her as separate from that. Which, yeah, no, I have it marked. Let me. Here we go. And okay. Um. So not only is it okay, because I know if I don't do the underlining part now, then I'll forget. Because that's just how I roll most days. Okay. So there is that. And just as a note on like annotation and stuff, because there is a lot of overlap in things between culture and mental health and whatever else, I've been underlining with whatever the main point is, and then using the flags that correspond to the things covered in there. So, like, for most of them, it's just one. I think for one of them in here, there's like two. But because that hits a bunch of points, it's got the plants, cultural significance, and mental health. So, there's that. Mental health and things that are emotionally impacting, or emotionally and or psychologically impacting the characters. And there's a couple of times in here, just in the first couple of chapters, that we see mention of tobacco. And A, it's an offering, and B, it's a connection to spirit, it's a connection to wider society, wider culture, but also because it is so deeply associated with culture and expression of culture. because she leaves an offering each day, it's reinforcing that she's very much part of the society. She very much sees herself as part of the society, even when the society itself doesn't acknowledge her as a full member of. Doesn't. Okay, now I don't. It's gotta be from the cover. So apparently, the cover pigment is transferable because I've just been holding it like this, and the main concentration is on that part of my fingers and the palm of my hand right there. So, something to keep in mind on that one. Didn't know that that was a thing that could happen, but there we go. Yeah. So, and then I blew my nose, so used the hand sanitizer that's right next to me and seemed to have gotten like random bits of something all over it. 1 second. Okay. Seem to be good now. Anyway, yeah. So, I have no idea what the train of thought was before that. But having that connection, right, with the tobacco and things, even if lived society, even if like the physical world isn't acknowledging that she's part of the community, that she's one of the people, she's claiming that identity that she wasn't allowed to officially have because her grandparents were racist. And embracing all the aspects of the culture that she can, which is pretty cool on that one. As much as it sucks that she's not allowed to have access to all of it, I'm glad that she's able to at least do that. So, okay. So, going back to chapter 6, right? She's talking to Jamie during one of the runs about the location, and actually, okay. One second. Okay. There used to be rapids here. It was a major gathering spot for Anishinaabe, with fishing villages on both sides of the river and on Sugar Island. The government took over the area and cut through the rapids to build the sulaks, which work like a water elevator to raise or lower the ships. And then Jamie's eyes, asking Donis, what happened to all the Anishinaabe people and their villages? I raise an eyebrow at him. I'm not sure if Jamie knows what a big question he's asked. Tourists like Jamie never think about the ones who got pushed aside for progress. And it's like, he's an outsider because he's literally just new to the area. But there's a big discussion, and because it hasn't happened yet as far as we've gotten, it'd be interesting to see how that's discussed later, because it looks like Boulley? Yeah. It looks like there's going to be a build up to that discussion. But yeah. And then a little bit later, it's Anishinaabe means the original people, indigenous, Nish, Nishnab, Shanab. Mostly we're referring to Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi tribes from the Great Lakes area. Ojibwe language is called Anishinaabewin or Ojibwean. So, more cultural things. Also, we get the first instance that Jamie is probably, like, it was evident from previous chapters that there were things that Jamie didn't want to talk about, which, fair enough. But there's the first instance that aside from the scar on his face, that Jamie might be dealing with some PTSD related to particular sudden sounds, especially. And it's delved into a little bit later, but there's a freighter blast that goes off at a very close range to where they're standing, and it startles them. Now, if you're like in an in-depth discussion about something, or you're just zoned out of whatever's currently happening, there's a lot of folks that would be a thing. But based on the rest of how his character is described, it sounds like that's going to build up to later situations. So, something to keep in mind. Yeah. Okay. Okay. And then a little bit later, before she goes running, there's a line talking about how Dunnis grabs a pinch of sema or tobacco because she leaves an offering each day. And so she grabs a pinch of sema before leaving out of Grandma Pearl's birchbark basket on the entry table. So that's putting into the storyline that that's just right. Something fell over. That's putting into the storyline that it's just there as a thing that is part of the culture. It's a normal thing. She doesn't have to go hunt for the tobacco or anything. It's just there by the door because that's a thing that you do on the way out of the house as an honor for your ancestors, as a connection to the timeline in which you exist, a connection to spirits of place, thanking the universe, all of the things. And just talking about how her brother Levi at one point used to sell sweetgrass to tourists when he was little. And again, after braiding sweetgrass, yeah, it's one of those plants that if purchased, if sold and purchased, then Like, it's got the aromatics and stuff, and it has that going for it, but the majority, if not all, of the spiritual medicine is gone. And because it has to do with reciprocity, which isn't really a factor if it's being bought and sold. And in here, it'd be interesting to see if it's explored more as we go on, but so far at least, the only description for sweetgrass is that it's one of our traditional medicines that smells really good, like a mellow sweet spice. In Ojibwe, it's called wingashk, and in science, it's called Heraclo odorata. There'll be some for sale at the tribe's powwow this weekend. So, we've got that in there. And yeah. So, alright. Now, a bit later is talking about how one of Levi's friends, so, our main character's, brother, one of his friends, at one point used to go picking sweetgrass with him, but his dad decided that he didn't want him collecting medicines with people outside the family, which culturally kind of makes sense because of the nature of it. But yeah. So, but yeah, it's interesting though, because that the reciprocity and the idea that sweetgrass and certain plants are a gift hasn't been addressed as yet. So we'll see as the story progresses how that is approached. I don't know what we're walking into for the rest of it. And I realize that I'm reading it like primarily with the lens of an anthropologist and an ethnobotanist and stuff. I acknowledge that that's the bias that I have going into this. But I'm interested to see how that's approached in there. Compared to, again, writing Sweetgrass that is entirely nonfiction. So, yeah. Also, main plot versus potential subplot that's supporting discussions of cultural identity. So we'll see what happens there. And then yeah. And at one point, Donis and yeah, that works. 9 more for the next round. Actually, let's see. So chapter 14 is the start of part 2. Yeah, let's go with another 9, and we'll see how that works. Okay. Well, yeah. Okay, so after next week would be about a third of the way in, sort of. Okay. But this is again talking about how, depending on how her identity is perceived, being biracial, to some people, you're never native enough, even if it's your identity, but your identity ends up getting defined and controlled by other people because it's how you're perceived in the world, regardless of what your own personal identity is and what you've taken on as your identity. Okay. Yes, and then there's the potentially interesting plot device where Jamie speaks French. Because reasons. Also, on top of being an outsider because he's new to the area, there's a potential not cultural boundary, but a potential cultural difference because Jamie is half Cherokee and Donis is half Ojibwe. So. I don't know on that one. It depends on how. It depends on how the audiobook is formatted, because I know I ended up getting back when I first signed up for Audible at the start of April, because I have Prime too, there were 2 credits, so I ended up getting Firekeeper's Daughter and The Lost Apothecary as those 2. So that's the format that I'm listening to it on. Because it's so new, I'm thinking that's probably the only audio option, but that might not be accurate. I don't know. But at least in the version that I've been listening to, it's reading out the whole thing, because there's the French, and then there's an italicized English translation after it. So should be alright on that one. But there are a few sections that aren't translated though. Having said that, like she. Okay, so they go to, we're listening to the same version, but on Bard. Yay, okay, awesome. Yeah, so far the main one that stands out is they're at the convalescent facility that Donis's grandmother is at, and she introduces Jamie to her grandma, and he says, "Bonjour, madame, c'est un plaisir de vous rencontrer," and that is not translated. So I know that the first part is, hello, ma'am. My French is very rusty, I acknowledge. I'm pretty sure the rest of it translates to, it's good to meet you, or something like that. So there's that. It's a lot easier when it's in print, because it takes a while for the brain to translate things sometimes, but I'm pretty sure that's what it means on that one. Yeah. All right. Also, I appreciate the back and forth between Lily and Dennis on whether or not there's like pencils and pens and things that can improve academic performance, just from the perspective of, if you don't have a good writing implement, it can be very frustrating and obnoxious to the entire rest of your attempted learning experience. Appreciate that. I do. So there's that. Also, there's another discussion of indigenous culture and the presence of casinos and casino dividends, I guess. being paid out. Where what was it? Why is the tribe called the Sugar Island of Ojibwe tribe, but the casino's on the mainland? And then the response is the tribe had claim to the land along both sides of the river. They settled a land claims case with the federal government 20 years ago. So, further describing the discussions of race and identity and everything in there. Yeah, and there's a slight mention of Jamie blushing when Donis is talking about how he speaks French and could probably get Lily to agree to whatever because French. Just kind of setting it up as either embarrassment or being otherwise flustered or any number of things, but there's a potential thing to be explored in there. So we'll see how that develops too. Okay, and then we've got a discussion of the border guards between the U.S. and Canada because the community that they're part of is very close to the border. So we've got how was it? Yeah, border guards in Canada ask if you're bringing any firearms into their country. On this side, the U.S. side, they just want to know about cigarettes, unless you're visibly niche or indigenous. Then you get the full questioning, and if you're niche and black, like my Uncle Art, you get a gun pulled on you at the border with your niche wife and baby daughters in their car seats. Okay. Tired is overtaking us. What are you reading first for your readathon? Okay. No worries, guys. Yeah, seriously, the profiling is strong and it sucks. Just to finish out chapter 8, we've got kindness is something that seems small, Donis, but it's like tossing a pebble into a pond and the ripples reach further than you thought, which powerful, rather. And then we see the second instance that Jamie probably has some at least auditory triggers, if not PTSD from past events. Because there's a pop sound from some kids. What was it? From some kids throwing firecrackers on the road. And as a reflex, Jamie just kind of pushes Donna's down and gets on top of her to protect her from what sounds like it could be gunfire. So there's that. And the only thing that he responds with when she asks him about it is that danger can turn up anywhere. So we'll get back to that in a bit. As to the readathon, Frank's military neighbor would approve. You think it might be gunfire, you hit the floor. Exactly. If, like, at that point, especially if you've been in a situation where where actual gunfire is a potential, if you think that that might be a situation that you currently find yourself in, act like that's what it is, you know? Sometimes it might not be that, but if it is, then you're safe, you know? Which I can totally see why that would be a thing. Okay. For the reading stuffs, I actually read the first one already. So yeah, because I needed to do some stuff and drive around on Wednesday. So I actually listened to the audiobook for Hurricane Child already, which is interesting. It's very well done, and especially with the audiobook, it's narrated by oops. For that particular one, it's narrated by someone who, now, okay, I don't know Caribbean accents enough to say whether someone is Jamaican or from any other place in the area, but the story takes place on Water Island and where else? One sec. St. Thomas. Okay. Yeah. It uh it mostly takes place on St. Thomas in the US Virgin Islands. And part of the issue is that Water Island, like, Water Island feels like it's forgotten all the time and tends to have a higher population of pretty dark-skinned people because folks forget that it exists, and that was a location that a lot of people escaping slavery ended up, as opposed to the other islands in the Virgin Island area, because that's the only one that wasn't sainted. There's some magical realism in there. At one point, like in the first like chapter or so, Caroline, who's the main character that you're following, talks about how when she was a little kid, fell off a boat and almost drowned, and has since seen this like spirit woman at particular points in her life, and there's a sapphic romance in there that it doesn't end as a happy ever after thing, but the characters that you're following are 12, and it ends on a hopeful note, I'll say that. So there's that. But the next one, I don't know. What do I have on the thing? What do I have in the library app? Okay, so I've got Ace. We've got Camp in here too, so maybe. Why do people say South instead of lesbian? Mostly because Sapphic just, like, from what I understand at least, Sapphic just means female. Lesbian would imply that the characters involved are lesbian, which the main character in Hurricane Child, from what I can interpret, that would apply for, but to make sure that you're not erasing the bi, pan, whatever identity of the characters involved, it's just this relationship is between a couple of ladies, or this relationship is between a couple of dudes, or whatever the description is happening. That's the wrong one. Okay. Well, this one. So, yeah. Ooh, alright. Yeah. As far as I know, there is, but I can't remember what it would be. But also, The Mermaid, the Witch, and the Sea is apparently ready to borrow. So, I might read that next, because I've been wanting to read that one. When I made the TBR, like, that one was still, like, you have to wait for weeks upon weeks, but, like, I don't know. So, we'll see on that one. But I need to read Picture of Dorian Gray and Picture of Dorian Gray, Ace, Hurricane Child, and there was another one that I can't remember right now, and it's bugging me. Okay. Because I know I did 4. And it's being irritating. Okay, one sec. No, that's not. Okay. Apparently it was just those 3. Alright. So, I need to still read Ace and Picture of Dorian Gray. Apparently. But it looks like I need to reborrow Dorian Gray and that Mermaid is ready to go. We're planning on 3 of the same ones, so thought we'd listen in the same order. Japanese pirates it is. Yes. Exactly. So, there's that. Okay. Good plan. Is good plan. I forgot that it was Japanese pirates. But that would make sense because it was in the Asian readathon too. So, yeah, there's that. Ow. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Mermaid, the Witch, and the Sea. Fabulous. Okay. Open. Yeah. Alright. So. Just to finish up with these, we've got there's a description of the grand entry. So we all rise for grand entry. Carrying a staff of eagle feathers, the head veteran leads the procession. Each veteran in the color guard brings a different flag: U.S., Canada, Michigan, tribe, and several clans. The head dancers come next. A man and woman in regalia dancing side by side. They're followed by 2 teens who are the junior dancers. Then a seemingly endless line of dancers enters the arena by category, announced by the MC. So, yeah. And then Jamie's trying to figure out what the kind of high-pitched trilling is that some of the women are doing. So those are called lilies. Nish women trill them mostly to honor someone. Other times there's more to it, something else, but I'm not sure what. So again, she knows some of the culture. She's allowed to be part of some of the culture, but doesn't know all of it. And regardless of, like, a little bit earlier, she says that Lily has tried to teach her how to Lily, but she's never been able to do that. And that's another aspect of being more removed from the society that she's in. Okay. Oh, yeah. In order to explain how the dancer's regalia describes her and her expression within the society, especially for like the jingle dresses. Every atom has subatomic parts. Her regalia includes a dress, belt, moccasins, and a lot of other items. Dancers don't start out with their full regalia. They get it bit by bit. Each piece is a connection to her family, her teachers, and even to ancestors generations back. If you know the story of her regalia, who and where and why each item came to be, then you know her. Right. Celtic women also trilled to express joy, approval, and scare the bejeepers out of the enemy. Yeah, exactly. Which, that seems to be the role of the trill in most societies that use it, that have incorporated it in there. So yeah, it's an honor, it's approval, it's very situational as to what it would mean, but yeah, very much so. Oh yeah, and then a bit later, she's talking about Travis, Lily's ex, and yeah, he's another lost boy. We call them, people call them lost boys, like from Neverland. Never taking anything seriously and seemingly stuck in place, but I think there's more to it. And, you know, we're, at that point, we're starting to see, okay, that's after Travis shows up with, doctored tea. So he's got a coffee filter of meth in the tea that he's drinking, or whatever the base is that he's drinking. And she said, she's talking to Jamie about how Travis is a meth head, and she's starting to worry about Lily more because she decided to go off with Travis, which, no. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. I forgot it was Mountain Dew, and just that combination, right? Mountain Dew and a coffee filter of meth. Which, just side tangent, really. When, when I was working at the fabric store, there were legitimately people who came in and wanted warm Mountain Dew. Like, every once in a while, I'll have a Mountain Dew, just 'cause I'm at the 99-cent store or whatever and it happens to be there. But, not my first choice. But warm. Warm Mountain Dew. Like, you do you. That's fine. But, like, I have some questions, you know? I don't know. And not even, like, the room temperature stuff. Like, the stuff that had been sitting on the back dock for, like, an hour or whatever before it got into the building so that we could stock the drinks fridge. I mean, whatever, but okay. Like, you know that there's stuff in the thing. No, I want it like this. Alright. Whatever, dude. So, yeah, there's that. Okay, yeah, so, so at the, what was it? Interesting though, right? So end of chapter 9, Dunnes is, Dunnes is, really worried about Lily sending her messages to, make sure that she's okay, and not hearing back from her. And then she's anxious. Jamie's picking up on it and says, like, you want to talk? I'll listen if you don't. You want to talk? I'll listen. If you don't, that's okay. We can just run. So, like, he's there as a support, but not pushing her to talk before she's ready to, which, good support move. And then, apparently, Travis got into meth, at least in part, because, his mom was, potentially. And he's been making the meth itself, and since then, it seems like more people in town and on the res are using. So, it seems like, at least, he's started supplying other people in the community, thus spreading the drugs and whatnot. So, a good setup for later events, at least, looks like. And oh yeah, a bit earlier, um, there was discussion of the blanket party, and Dennis wanted to go participate because it's yet another thing that she's told constantly, that it's an in-community thing. It's not an external community thing. Wondering if Travis's meth turns out to be the new drug mentioned in the book blurb. What? I totally forgot about that. Ah, okay. All right. I mean, it has the potential to, yeah, totally. So yeah, we'll definitely be interested to see how that plays out. But she's talking to, is that Aunt Teddy? Yeah, so it's Pauline. Yeah, so Pauline is one of the kids, so it'd be Aunt Teddy. She's talking about why she didn't want Dennis to go with her, and it's like, basically it boils down to the people who go to those events are the ones that have been directly negatively impacted by violence against women, essentially. So it's like a community vengeance exercise, sort of. Revenge justice. And what was it? I hate going, but I thank Creator each time that you're not with me. I keep hoping your privileges will keep you safe. Your last name, your light skin, your money, your size even, because she's almost 6 feet tall. I'm thankful for you having those advantages, but I get mad and scared because my black and Ojibwe daughters don't. So, it's pointing out again that because Donis is lighter skinned, and because she doesn't have her dad's name, she's probably not going to deal with a lot of the racism and prejudice that her friends and other family members do, even though that side of the family doesn't accept her either, because she is half Ojibwe. And general society, it depends on what side you're on, what environment you're in, as to if you're more or less accepted based on your appearance for certain things, your word usage, your speech patterns, whatever. And in this particular instance, if you're black and indigenous, you're going to have more hurdles to deal with than if you can blend easier. And I think it was when they were talking about Canada, but because there's so many issues with crossing the border, and each time her uncle or uncle's family tries to cross the Canadian border, there's so much racism involved. A lot of times, she's the one that makes the cross-border jaunt because she's a lot lighter skinned and doesn't get profiled as much. Okay, and just as a further plot thing, we know that there's some potentially shady stuff happening with Travis. Okay. We know that there's some potentially shady stuff happening with Travis, and Lily went off with him. He's very high on meth right now, and people dealing with meth, granted it depends on the person how it manifests, but generally it's erratic behavior, sometimes amplified strength, from what I remember. Kind of hyperactivity, not hyperactivity, but like jittery sort of maneuvers. So Dennis is worried about Lily. She's not with the rest of the group right now. She's off with Travis trying to deal with his whatever. And she says to Jamie that he needs to let his uncle know where he's going to be, because you can't get a signal except on the north side where it's close enough to some Canadian cell towers. The rest of the island that they're going to be on for the rest of the night is a dead zone. Plus, the east side is all cliffs and caves, so signals just bounce around. So they're putting in there that there's probably going to be something happening on the island. There's an ominous feeling that they're inserting into the story, because in the event that something happens, you won't be able to call for help unless you go to a very particular spot on the island, and then you might be able to get access to Canadian towers. Because they're going for an underage party situation, and everyone, like the parents, all know that they're going to be there, and that there's some alcohol that happens, but if you're drinking with your friends out in the forest, then it's safer than if you're raiding your grandparents' liquor cabinet, as paraphrased from I think it was Aunt Teddy in there. But then they're uh yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like I don't know about that. I don't know. I don't know about that one. Okay. Uh, and then Jamie is staying sober. Whether it has something to do with his backstory or he just doesn't feel like drinking, we don't know at this juncture. But that's part of the thing in there. And then Levi, just for the rest of chapter 9, right? Levi is just making himself so obnoxious, and I don't know if it's like that he's a flawed character and he's gonna have some kind of follow-up redemption arc situation after that, or what, but like, using slurs against other people on the team because, like, he's native, so therefore he can use that particular one. Which, I mean, it's a personal choice, but like, hey. And just being a general ass to the girlfriends that he's had, and not acknowledging or discounting the experiences that Donnis has had with guys, especially her former boyfriend, who's now one of the police officers in the region, which is fun. And her dad, to a degree. So we'll see how that plays out, because it's like the very last part of chapter 9. Yes, exactly. Levi is a very misogynist ass right now. So hopefully in the like 300 something pages that we've got left, he can not do that anymore. That would be nice. But because Levi's being a jerk, and because she's worried about Lily, Donis leaves the general party section of where they are. And on the way to Jamie's truck, because I guess he drove there. Yeah. So he drove them over there. This contrast to highlight Jamie being a decent human being and make Jamie look suspect for said decency. Fair. It's just like, I would really like if she has one guy in her family who by the end of this, well, her uncle seems pretty good. So, yeah. But I would really like if essentially her twin, really, ends up being a relatively decent human being. But yeah, no, especially with how it's going, Jamie uh Jamie has a lot of potential, I'll say that. And yeah, hopefully doesn't end up becoming a jerk in the, 300 something pages that we've got left. But then at the end of 9, right, Dennis has left the main group of the party, hears some odd sounds in the woods as she's stumbling over rocks and things, and sees Lily come out of the woods. And oh, she's there. That's great. And in the span of like a page and a half, she sees Lily, says, like, doesn't say, but like, sees Lily, acknowledges that she's there. Ah, that's where you went. You're okay. And then Travis comes out of the woods behind her, grabs her arm as she's trying to leave, and like pulls a gun out of presumably the back of his pants or something. So he is high and armed at this point. And what was it? Yeah. And they're the only 3 in the area. And Donis is hoping that he's gonna just come to his senses and drop the gun, or but it's going between that and the thought that she's gonna watch Lily die, and the odd sweetness of WD-40 on the gun, and pine and moss and sweat and something sharp like you would have if you're in a hunting blind, probably from like pee. And then you see, because this is the passage that is the front bit of the book. So you see you see Travis starting to be more erratic and slashing the gun in the air like it's a machete. And yeah. I mean that there is that. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Sad that we suspect him as an experienced reader says something about the lack of truly decent male characters. Yeah. No, totally. Totally. I don't know. Vanilla scent on the gun? Has the author ever been around real guns? You have a point, right? I mean, admittedly, I've only been around firearms once, and it was at a gun range in Minnesota in the middle of December. But like, so there was snow everywhere in the middle of not quite a blizzard, and the people I was staying with are like, you know what we should do? We should go shoot targets. Alright, let's do that. So, okay. But, yeah, so, even from that, like, it might depend on what is being used to clean the gun and is stored in close proximity to it, but just the gun itself, like gun oil does not smell like vanilla. So, I don't know on that one, unless it's cleaned improperly, which, if Travis is the one taking care of it, I would not be surprised if it's cleaned improperly, because he's tripping balls, and from the looks of it, that's kind of his constant state, or like at least near constant state at the moment. So I don't know, we'll see. Ah, thank you for the what? Huh? Right. Thank you, honeycomb. Much appreciated. Alright. Yeah. Which I keep forgetting that the alerts aren't on at the moment. Ah. So, yeah, that was very weird. That, and there's been like a bunch of people follow in the last like 4 minutes. Yeah, like a bunch of people. Okay. Yeah, thanks for the stretch reminder. You can stop spamming it, though. Yeah, there's like a whole lot of people in the last 4 or 5 minutes. Which, okay. Can you not? Really? Honestly. Thank you, honeycomb. Seriously. Honestly. It's like, come on now. Ugh. Anyway. Awesome sauce. Okay. Anyway. Let's finish this one up. So, we're talking about, so she's like very much in the headspace of trying to figure out how to get out of the situation that they're in, and dealing with Travis, who is still armed, and before she can move, before right? Yay for that. Also, it might be the tags. Jesus freaking hell. Honestly. Can you not, people? What is happening? Yeah. Oh my god. Seriously? God damn it. Really? Really? The only difference, right? The only difference that I can see is that I clicked the non-binary tag this time. That's the only thing that I can come up with for why it's this. Because this is the second time in the last 5 minutes. Okay, is that all of them? Oh my god, you freaking ass. Really? Yeah. Basically. Basically. Okay. Just because. Okay. Hmm. Yeah. Hey, Toma. Thanks for coming in and hanging out. Oh my god. So. uh, uh, so, basically, um, chapter 9 ends with Boulley trying to not get anyone shot, not get shot, to, de-escalate the situation, and then there's a blast that goes off that, quote, changes everything. So, thus concludes chapter 9. Ah, so, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Tom, can you ban people when you're not on stream? Ooh, actually. There we go. Yeah. Okay. I forgot that there was a ban command that I could type into the thing. But yeah, no, good to know for that. The last 3 followed, and there was, I don't know what was happening, but like 14, 15 minutes ago, there was like like 40 people that followed. So I don't know if that has anything to do with this or if it's something else altogether, because this whole bunch of shenanigans stupidness has only been going on for the last like 13 minutes. So I don't know. I don't know if someone raided in and I didn't hear it. But yeah. So because that's happening, like we're more or less at the end of stream right now. I can exercise caution when checking your email, etc. You can report to Twitch if connected. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the email's not connected, but we'll see on that one. But yeah, we'll definitely contact Twitch when stuff with that. Especially in the event that anything is happening. Okay. That's what I was thinking, but it's like there's like 40, 50 people that followed in the last under 20 minutes. And that's not a thing that happens around these parts, you know? I don't know. So there's that. I don't know. Ooh, yay. Okay. And there should be a link to Mass Sleep. Ooh. Thank you so much, Toma. Much appreciated. Yeah. Yeah, like, okay. Hmm. Okay. Huh. Hmm. Okay. So, uh, where we go? Fictional. So let me see. Right. Okay. um. Yeah. There's a lot. Uh. There's. Wow. All right. Hmm. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know on that one. Anyway. Um. Yeah, and for most of these, the account was legitimately created 2 days ago. And yeah, it was created like 1 or 2 days ago, and they all followed at the exact same time. Like, guys, really? Wow. Alright. Yeah. Okay. Wow. Okay. So there was 210 followers at the start of this. Like or 220 when I got on today. You followed in the past 5 minutes and are an actual human. Is here because you like the channel. Speak up. Yeah, seriously. Interesting. We'll accept non-humans who enjoy the content as channel followers too. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. If you're looking at the Twitch bot remover, if all recent follows are followed at the same time, they're definitely bots. Yeah. Yeah. Is there a way, because I'm not saying it right now, is there a way to just like select a certain something for all of them and then just click like submit, or is it just do it manually for all of them? Like, yes, you are an adorable void, Toma. Like, seriously. Just saying. Okay, alright. No. Actually, no. So let's select the time you want to focus on specifically. All the usernames that are followed at the same time. Ha ha ha. So, these are all the ones from, yeah, all the ones from, So, you know, they followed like 40 minutes ago, so select the time slot. Yeah. It'll only list the follows of that time period, and then you can select all and press block and ban and delete. Yes. There should also be a bot counter on the site, but sometimes it's not accurate because new bots keep getting created. Yeah, it looked like there were two. It looked like there were 2 known bot accounts, and then a few other ones in there. So, presumably, we're okay now. I think. Maybe. Honestly. Like, why? Like, you know, there's just times, right, that like, okay. Yeah. Because no one else followed today aside from that giant block. So I just put in like all the people from today, and it yeah. So there's that. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, seriously. Yeah, that's the first time that that's happened, and it's like, can y'all not, maybe? Can you not? Yeah, like, I realize that my hands are kind of sweaty right now, so that's probably part of why the transfer is happening, but like, what? Yeah, thank you so much, Toma. Much appreciated. So very much appreciated. Oh, man. Okay. Alright. So, things happen, so I know. Yeah. Yeah, it's like, I'm just here trying to talk about a YA book where there's plants and things, and like, there's jerks coming into the chat with bots and porn, and like, what are y'all doing? Just what are you doing? Come on. Yes, good time to raid Bean. Very good. Good indeed. I don't know if you know Bean, Toma, but they're a super awesome NB artist person. So, yeah. uh Okay, yeah. So, good to know that I need to check that particular email and stuff, cuz that doesn't even exist as an email, but good to know. I'll keep an eye on that one, you weirdos. Because, yeah, yeah. Like, okay. Okay. Just to make sure. Okay, there we go. Anyway, yeah. Can you not with the stupid stretch time? Like, seriously. Yeah. Yeah, basically. So, anyway. Um, we've got the thing. We've got the... Yeah, exactly. That's not it. So, alright. At present, uh, at present, I think we should be good to do a raid. I think. there hasn't been anyone else. Oh right, yeah. That one's, yeah, those, yeah, all the bots and the morons in the last like 20 minutes have followed. So we'll do that after we're done. Anyway, thank you for all the actual people who showed up to this. Can you not with the stupid bot shenanigans? Like, seriously. No. Can you not? Oh my god. How did you even find that dumbassery? Okay. Alright. You can copy the name and go to your settings and manually ban them. Okay. Good to know. Alright. Alright, so we're gonna do the later the thing following. Come back. Jeez. Settings, moderation, ban chatters. Okay. Good to know. Thank you much. Seriously. What the actual hell are you doing?